Today we're taking a look at the ban era Steyr Aug. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in to Peace, Love, and Guns. Today we have a very special treat for you. This, of course, is a ban era Steyr Aug. What makes it a ban era Steyr Aug, you might ask? Well, back in 1994, they passed this thing called the assault weapons ban. Now, assault weapon is a term which is kind of interesting because prior to this point, nothing defined what an assault weapon is. And actually, after the assault weapon ban sunset in 2004, there is no legal definition for an assault weapon, so it's more of a colloquialism that is used by gun people and the media alike, and it really doesn't have meaning. But what it meant from that 10-year period in 1994 to 2004, when that law was in effect, was that guns with certain aesthetic features were not allowed to be sold to the civilian population of the U.S. Some of those features include pistol grips, barrel shrouds to protect your hands from the heat, high-capacity magazines, muzzle devices, bolt releases, bayonet lugs, and grenade launchers. Essentially, if it had features that made it look more militaristic, it wasn't allowed because of that. So this is a relic of that time. I think it's worth noting to clarify the grenade launcher concept, because a lot of people, even avid Second Amendment supporters, say civilians shouldn't own grenade launchers, and I'm not going to say that's unreasonable to say that, but when we're talking about grenade launchers in the context of a grenade launcher being on a military-style rifle, what you're talking about is essentially a metal lug that would allow a rifle grenade to mount onto a weapon, and then fired with a blank cartridge, a blank charge, so no actual bullet being fired out of it, it would then launch this grenade. What's interesting to note about that is grenades are already classified by the NFA as destructive devices, and civilians can't get their hands on grenades anyway, so having a superficial piece of metal that's, welded or clamped on, or part of the design of a rifle that could accept a grenade is kind of a triviality to me, in my opinion. But since you can't get a hold of the grenade anyway. This rifle is manufactured by Steyr out of Austria. It is a Bullpup gas piston operated semi-automatic carbine that fires the 223 5.56 round out of a box magazine. The magazine is a 30-round magazine. They have kind of this nice waffle grip pattern, and they are notable for this being as translucent plastic. Kind of one of the ideas at the time, concern was that it wasn't metal, and largely that fear has gone away in recent times because of the PMAG, and this is something that kind of pioneered that. People think that since they're clear, they're less, they would be less likely to be robust, but that's actually not the case. And these guys were kind of the modern progenitors of the PMAG and other things of that nature that are so ubiquitous nowadays in the AR-15 culture, and now even being adopted into military groups or being allowed to be purchased by armorers within the military. Part of what makes this acceptable to be sold to the civilian population during the assault weapons ban was the fact that it has this little plastic ridge right here, and this serves a couple annoying functions. One, pistol grips were among the features that are regulated in the assault weapons ban. So what this effectively does is it turns this carbine into a weapon that has a thumbhole stock. So because this pistol grip is not detached from this, the standard AUG, this is by itself. And this is the normal contour of the rifle. Because this is here and it makes this into a thumbhole stock, that is how they got around the assault weapons ban. It kind of goes to show the silliness of the assault weapons ban, that you could make some aesthetic modifications. It's arguable that they are in fact functional modifications, but they're not modifications that actually increase the safety of the public. This is something that just kind of makes it inconvenient for firearms enthusiasts to use as it was originally intended. So because that's a thumb hole stock, it is a legal weapon during the assault weapons ban. Kind of the effect of this thumb hole stock is you don't really notice it in handling of the weapon as normal. It doesn't affect as you would shoot it. However, reloading is kind of the issue, and you see I'm wearing this really cool looking glove here. Got a little bit of tendinitis going on, but what it does do is it affects the user's ability to reload this weapon effectively. Now this is a fully loaded mag, so this might actually drop free if I press the button. In fact, it probably will. Okay, so there's your mag release on this guy. It's the same as the Steyr Aug. But with an empty magazine, we've tried this. It doesn't necessarily want to drop free every time. So what you would normally do in the battery of arms of the Steyr Aug is you would grab the magazine, push up with your thumb, and rip the magazine out. Now with my tendinitis, I definitely cannot do this, but it still would be a difficult matter to push this up and also be able to rip out that magazine. In fact, the way it is right now, and with my limitations here, the way that I have to get the magazine out is to hold this down and pull the magazine out. And that's not unlike what an able person would be able, or would have to do to get this out of there. There are ways of improving that. It might be, if you wanted this magazine to drop free, I mean, people might kind of shave the inside of their mag well so that they could get around this. Of course, the assault weapons ban is not a thing right now, so if a collector, or someone that's not a collector, someone that maybe got this at a really good deal, they might just Dremel this little piece off, and that would be completely legal within the legal framework of today. But this is a relic of its time. And so the owner that has graciously allowed us to borrow this to make this video, he's keeping it this way. He might buy a stock for it to give it the actual use and appearance of the actual military Steyr Aug, with the exception that it'll be a semi-auto variant of it. Just like the military version of the Steyr, this has a carry handle scope, which also has integrated backup iron sights on the top of it. It's kind of a nifty feature. I've always kind of liked the scope on this, and now actually holding an actual real Steyr and looking through this, it's kind of neat. It's got a pretty bold center crosshair, and then a fine external crosshair, and then a fine internal crosshair as well. We'll try and get that on camera here in a bit. You can see you've got your windage and elevation adjustments. And I imagine this is how they charge it with nitrogen. Your safety on the AUG is a standard push button through hole style of safety. If you push it in from this side, most shooters are right-handed, so they've designed it around that with that in mind. If you push the safety from this side, there is a white dot there denoting the safe condition. You cannot pull the trigger. And if we push it from the side, the dominant hand, it gives us a visual indicator on the other side of the gun that you have that red dot, the safety is off. Kind of an interesting point on the actual military version is it is a select fire rifle, which is to say it is fully automatic or semi-automatic depending upon the mode that you're shooting it in. Most weapons have some sort of fire selector switch. The AUG, however, does not. It's kind of an interesting rifle in that it has two separate trigger pulls. The first trigger pull is for semi-automatic fire, and then if you pull all the way to the rear, it shoots fully automatic. So that's kind of unique to the AUG, and it simplifies the design, which a lot of gun manufacturers that were trying to make these futuristic, forward-thinking designs, they kind of tried to do is make as little switches and gizmos on the gun as possible. so that you have a simple operating system for the user. Another relic of the assault weapons ban is the fact that this is kind of a heavyweight plain barrel with no muzzle device on it, so no flash hider and no muzzle brake, so no compensation device. It's just a simple barrel. I actually think it looks rather handsome. A lot of compensators don't do a whole lot in my experience, so really the reduced length is kind of a novel concept. I think a lot of guns we've kind of gotten away from that because, you know, we see flash hiders, which are that's relevant if, you know, you're being shot at in low light. The enemy can see the flash of your weapon, and flash hider reduce some of that. And then the whole muzzle brake concept, they work. In certain venues, it's more important than others. So this just being plain Jane like it is, that's pretty cool. So if you do try and shoot this in your on the other side in an ambi fashion, you will get hit with brass. This is one of the problems with bullpups that is not been very well addressed even in modern times. The bullpups in modern day that try and address this, they definitely add complication to designs to get either the rounds to come out forward of the gun, drop them out the bottom. Then you have the ability of not being able to check the breech. So there are some problems inherent with the bullpup design that companies nowadays are making other compromises to deal with. Another feature of this weapon is that on the actual AUG, I've got the bolt held back right now. This is a loaded magazine, and I'm going to try and load this right now. There is no bolt release on this like you would have in the battery of arms of the actual AUG or AR-15s, etc. You don't have any feature like that on this, so you would have to actually rack the bolt manually, which I'm not wanting to do right now. So we're going to undo this. The grip, if you pull it down, it will fold forward. That probably just makes it easier to keep slung so that the grip isn't catching on things. It's not really meant to be used in this configuration, holding it like so, because you would be grabbing the gas block on accident and touching the barrel, which will result in not fun. The charging handle on the AUG is very familiar to other weapons of the time and kind of the locality in which this was designed. It's got a kind of HK-ish style of battery of arms, so you pull it back and release it to charge around into the chamber. You can also lock the bolt by flipping that charging handle up like so, and then when you load a new magazine you can then, just to kind of go over the terminology, a bullpup rifle is one in which the action, that is the moving part that does most of the loading, etc., the action of the weapon is behind the trigger. Typically this means you've got kind of a chewy trigger because you've got an operating rod in there that actually controls when the sear engages and releases. So that's one of the other things that is a challenge for bullpup rifles, is the trigger pull is usually not the most exciting. But bullpup rifles have the advantage of having either the weight centered over the shooter's hand or more towards the back of the stock, and it allows you to almost nearly get the ability to shoot one-handed. Certainly carrying the weapon, all of the mass is over this primary vicinity here, so you can hold this weapon in a pretty stable fashion, just like this here. If you look at the underside of the gun, you can see that it's got this little channel here with that little cross pin. That's because this whole assembly rotates and comes off. It has a quick change barrel, which is kind of nifty, allows you to get into the internals, clean it and whatnot. You got sling swivels here and here. And yeah, it's a cool gun. So let's go shoot it. So now we're gonna go ahead and shoot the assault weapons ban era Steyr Aug. Let's gas her up. Okay, so that's very much like the MP5 and HK kind of variant rifles. If it's got a closed bolt and you have a fully loaded magazine, it does not want a seat. That's probably because the battery of arms intends for us to have this locked back before we put the magazine in. So we'll go ahead and do that proper like. There we go, and there we go. All right. So recoil is very mild. Of course, the gun is actually kind of heavy-ish. It feels like it's got some heft to it. So there's definitely some mass there. Maybe having it all in the back kind of makes it feel mild. But the grip I can't complain about. Well, what I was noticing was sometimes the charging handle feels like it's actually going back with the action. Some of that might just be vibrations of the charging handle kind of flipping, but all right. It does lock back on the last shot. Okay, that is hot, like we talked about earlier. So you have to be mindful of that. This whole area gets hot, especially the gas piston area where you have a reciprocating gas piston and all of the gas from the rifle moving through. Another thing that's kind of interesting is it seems to vent gas out of this area right here. I took a shot kind of in this area, and I could just feel gas come up to my face. Another reason that it's important to wear eye protection when you shoot, but just kind of a finer point, you know, sometimes those gases, they burn your eyes when they come out, and that's kind of what I experienced there. Much like shooting an AR-15 that's suppressed, that's kind of the feeling that I got there. So I think perhaps it might just be lingering gas from the chamber, or maybe it actually is part of the design that it vents gas that way. So there we go. Cool gun.
Do you feel that if by practicing reloading, do you feel that you could become faster and more proficient at it given that system?
Assuming that I was in the assault weapons ban era, or if the assault weapons ban came back exactly as it existed before, if this is the only weapon that I could own, that would be a no-brainer. I would own something like this. I don't think that as it sits, this is a bad idea for any use that you might need a carbine on normal circumstances. So it just has this one caveat here. So I'm going to try dropping this magazine, and that's all the way up. So is that ideal? No, but it's still a 30 round box magazine, which is pretty cool. So if you live in a place that has kind of a restrictive laws concerning how easy it is for you to remove your magazine, then something like this might be good for you.
So goofy?
It's definitely goofy by my standards, but by the standards of the day, for that 10-year period that the assault weapons ban it was in effect, if you wanted a weapon that does stuff like this is kind of what you had to deal with. Another thing about the Bullpup design is that it brings the barrel in, so this is actually a really tight in package. comparable guns of the kind of AR-15 variety would have been longer, would have probably had different things to deal with.
That's what we need to ban. We need to ban this weather.
I know,
it's
right?
bullshit.
Oh baby, oh
Nice.
baby.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, we like that. I gotta get a nice close in.
Yep, got
All
a
right.
nice open.
So we've got the
breach
magazine
right there.
inserted with the chamber open here.
And you don't want to get your
Back a bit.
fingers in there because
Yeah, definitely don't go like this.
you'll get M1 thumb.
And then like this, and like intentionally cut your finger off. I mean, it'll hurt. You might still have a finger,
wow.
but
Sigourney
it's not
Weaver.
meant for that. Oh baby, oh man, I've got another career already. Fallback.
Fucking nerd.
I'm already a fucking nerd. I don't need to be a double nerd. It's a very hard pull. Interesting.
I'm trying to get some first.
First person shooter. Yeah. Did I cut the top off?
I think so.
You gotta shoot the top off, guys.
Hit it with your purse.
Oh, it's still there.
Give us some rapid fire.
What?
Give us some rapid fire.
You.
Hit it with your purse.
That's it, folks.
So what are your initial impressions? I mean, shooting characteristics.
I mean, if you're just shooting it and not worrying about the magazine, it's great. I enjoyed it. You get used to the hard pull of the trigger. But then you gotta reload, and then that's really fucking weird. Like, how are you even supposed to hold this? My God. Like, I look like an idiot doing this.
You made it look easy. Good job.
I feel like there's a better way to do this
Right.
that we may have figured out by now. You know, maybe. Just maybe. Like, where does this go? Does it go in here? Look, guys, it fits. That's the future. Yeah, I can see that going bad. So I'm gonna be... So I'll put it back in. I'm gonna be a left-handed shooter. And if you shoot... Yeah. If you shoot, I could just see this going wrong.
What Nicole's
We've
trying to
learned.
say is that because this gun is designed for a right-handed shooter only, left-handed shooters will not be able to effectively shoot this. You will have hot gases and brasses in your face
You can swap the bolt out.
unless you swap the bolt out.
Little white spot.
That little stripe. There you go.
Oh, cool. You can be just like me when I was hitting those.
Absolutely not.
What have you done?
All right, so this is that special section of Peace Loving Guns where we do silly things because they look cool in movies, so we're going to try it. One thing that we're going to try is shooting this one-handed a la Die Hard. Pretend that I'm one of Hans Gruber's, one of his little mercenary bad guys, and we're going to shoot it one-handed.
And that's why they're dead.
That's why they're dead. Hopefully John McClane doesn't see me come out of the woods and then come say, ho, 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 now I have a machine gun and shoot me with an MP5 or something like that. I'm not about that life, yeah. So we're gonna, first of all, we're gonna do the battery of arms that's appropriate for, ow! Ow.
Tendinitis kills 9 out of every 10 Americans.
This is my future. Yeah. All right, so here we are doing the correct battery of arms, opening the bolt, and then we're gonna put the magazine in, and then we're gonna flippy dippity do. All right, and then we're gonna do it for Hans Gruber.
That shit's pretty serious for those cases. You were too close.
Everybody backs up.
Okay.
Everybody
I'm
runs
trying to
away.
get a first-person view of you shooting one-handed. Let me. All right, there you go.
See if you can get a first-person view of what it looks like through the scope.
Okay.
Right there. That's it.
Little back. Little back. Little back. Little forward. There we go.
So this is what the crosshair looks like. Oops. Okay.
All right, and we're gonna try bump firing it.
Okay, one second. Let me get a good bump
This,
fire.
I'm gonna just tell you, this is not gonna bump fire.
It's not gonna
because-
reset fast enough.
Yeah, it's not gonna reset fast enough, and there's not weight. And you're gonna get hit with brass coming out of there directly. Nope.
Viewers, there's one thing I want to note. Could you hold that waist level kind of horizontally? What I noticed, and this is kind of interesting, the barrel is actually heating up. It's heating this integrated scope mount up. The scope is actually hot right now. Like, it's kind of neat. But then, upon noticing that, I noticed they actually had sights on them. They've actually got quick, viewing sights for some crude, fast, reflexive shooting, which is kind of cool. I didn't know that they had that, so that's kind of neat.
I'm gonna attempt to use the iron sights on here, backup iron sights. We're gonna shoot something relatively close. That's probably what they're intended. So I'm gonna shoot at this
Is it
little.
cool if we do a first-person view of the iron?
Yeah, go for it.
That's about as close as I need to get, right?
All right. You want me to actually shoot it?
Yeah.
All right. Did y'all see where the shot went?
You hit.
All right, we're gonna try to hit the block. Okay, so interestingly, I think that these are 4 close engagements. This is probably something to the effect of 21 feet to this block right here. The little cube. So I'm gonna shoot at it again. Gonna finish off the rest of this. Okay. Finer point about this is a square piece of plastic, hard piece of plastic.
Your bolt's open too.
Good knurling on it, but it is sharp and it's uncomfortable to do that with.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Or if you're a guy that likes to with stuff like me, you can maybe just file that very slightly, a fine file, to make it a little smoother for your baby soft hands. And here we go. Ah, goddamn. All right, and that is the Assault Weapons Ban Era Steyr Aug. We want to thank the generous host of the weapon that allowed us to borrow and shoot this. That is very cool of him to do.
Well, fuck, I've been burnt by it like 6 times now.
Yeah,
like,
so this is...
Because your hand goes right here, right? Well, that is really hot.
Yep, so the bottom of the gas block is there, so that gets hot. If you
This
accidentally
is
touch up here...
pretty hot. That's
It's
all
hot.
hot. This gets hot. It all gets hot.
Yeah.
Like really, really
The
hot.
scope is hot, so that's got to be doing stuff to it on some level.
And the fact that you have to switch out the $700 bolt.
To go left-handy, which
Yeah.
you're left-handy.
I'm wrong-handed.
The barrel in action is in this vicinity too, so actually it's getting hot above the trigger. We fired 60 rounds through this now, or actually getting pretty close to 100 rounds through it, and it's getting warm right here, and it's actually really warm right here because this is where the breech is at. So
Hashtag the hearth.
yeah, so
I did shoot.
it is a cool gun. I'll give it that. But neato. It's a neato. It's a little relic of history, and even more so because it is a ban era gun.
I have to retract my statement. It is $250 for a left-handed bolt from Steyr.
Oh, so that's
Still
actually not so bad.
expensive. Still
So
expensive.
left-handers, you got something to look forward to.
Spend an extra $250 on a $2,500 gun.
To not get burnt. Worth it.
To not get burnt with the cases, you still might get burnt with everything else,
Oh,
including the scope, which is like,
still gotta be careful with that.
yeah, I mean the scope is actually like,
It's toasty.
yeah, toasty. You shoot another couple mags,
The whole thing.
warm.
I mean,
Yeah, and this is actually really hot
before
too.
bushes were shaved.
What would be the bolt release? That's actually really pretty hot.
I mean, I don't think it's a bad gun personally. I just don't think it's
Nah, not at all. It's cool. It's a piece of history.
in your mouth.
Ow.
it's too hot.
Yeah, so definitely a lot of little places to burn yourself on this thing. But you have to be a dunce, and you know the Steyr Aug fanboys will be like, "You're an idiot." Well, I mean that might be true. I want to thank you for watching Peace, Love, and Guns. Make sure to comment, like, subscribe, share, all of those wonderful things. You will see links down in the doobly-doo for our friends William and Nicole Briddon of Gray Fox Ranch and Gray Fox Gunsmithing. Thanks for watching Peace, Love, and Guns. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe, and share all of those wonderful things. There will be links down in the doobly-doo below me for Gray Fox Ranch and Gray Fox Gunsmithing. We're always happy to come out and shoot. We are ecstatic that they let us do that, and if you would patronize them with your business, that would be amazing. They might be moving to Washington, so who knows, maybe Washington peeps give them a holler. All of that is down in the doobly-doo. We want to thank the generous donor of this gun that let us shoot it today. It's pretty cool that he allows us to do this, and he doesn't ask for anything in return, so that's pretty cool. I actually have a feeling that he might be Illuminati or something, come knocking on my door one night and call in the favor or something. But thank you for that, and thank you for watching